Hi everyone, it's the EnglishSimmer here. If you know me, you probably heard me talking about my hot sim summer before. And no, I'm not just purely talking about falling in love with pixel people. That happens every day of my life. But I usually use that term when I'm discussing my townie makeovers for The Sims 4. And today, I kind of wanted to do like an updated save file, how I've been getting on with like making over my townies in the custom content that I have within my game and telling their stories in a slightly different way, giving them more personality, but instead of only focusing on their looks, because I have come to realize that is a problem that I do need to nip in the bud, because I do it an awful lot. I mean, I even did a tier ranking of my townie makeovers, given I was doing it because I absolutely roasted EA's townies, and I was like, okay, I also need to roast my own. We need to make this an equal economy. So today, I thought I would kind of go through my Townie Headcanons. I've kind of done this when it comes to like sexuality before now, which by the way, Pride Month is coming up. If you have any topics that you would like me to make videos on this June, definitely let me know. Basically, I just wanted to yell about my townie makeovers because even though they're not my own original characters, I do feel as if making over every townie has just made me love them a lot more. So I hope you've all got your tea ready because I am about to spill it with all the dramas. I say that so many of these like townie headcanons are so pure and just like romance or like we're great parents, because whilst I do always say that The Sims 4 needs more consequence, I am just like a sucker for a romantic love story or just like really supportive parents. I may be pushing my personality onto these Sims, but hey, isn't that what a personal save file is for? Obviously, we're gonna kick it off with Jenna Akiyama. Jenna is actually a sim that I've never really paid attention to before, and I feel like that comes with the Sims community. We like to go on about like, oh, feminists first, like we absolutely love feminine Sims, and a lot of people seem to hate on masculine Sims or just don't really know how to make them over. But Kado gets so much love. His head's got too big, it's got too wide, so I want to focus on his lovely wife. Get out of here, Kado, this isn't about you. You already are like running off probably with your other lover. She has a little rebellious side to me. I actually was very heavily inspired by Hayley Williams, if you couldn't tell from the hair, and I feel like this is where like Jenna's little like rebellious side shows itself. So I wanted to make her a former emo kid. I feel like I very much got that like in her fashion with like the Converse or the Vans that have been like graffitied on. She is very much a girly who is into rock music and also carries on her love of rocks to not only going out and collecting rocks, but also rock climbing. Basically everything in Jenna's life revolves around rocks, and I kind of love that for her. I love a girly who can be a young adult and still like want to go out and just find rocks. Am I talking about me? Yes, I am. Can you catch me on the beach at any given moment finding like cool pebbles and also sea glass? Yes, absolutely. I feel like a lot of people see the kids like get their wild side, their kind of like adventurous side from Kado. But I actually like to think it is Jenna that is keeping that flame alive, just like she is keeping her orange flame alive in her hair. I also wanted to tie in the note that she obviously sends if you have my wedding stories, which says, I took the train to visit the sea today. Again, she's definitely out here looking for cool rocks. My husband doesn't know. Ever since we moved to Senbamachi, I can tell something is off. The leaves are beautiful and it's much quieter. Now, don't get me wrong, she is a girl who's from San Myshuno originally. Hence why I kind of wanted that like cool city vibe. She's just very cool, and I just have actually fallen for Jenna. Jenna, if you ever want to dump Kado, just know that I'm here. I am on my knees and I'm ready for you. I think the fresh air is good for the children, but is it good for my husband and me? Now, obviously, that can kind of go either way as you're playing them. Personally, I think Jenna deserves better. I have looked into these Sim souls and heard what they have been trying to scream at people for years. Moving on to the kids, I think these two have such distinctive personalities in my mind, and they're kind of like similar to each other, but then also so different. Starting off with Taku, who is actually my little like nature lover. He absolutely loves the wilderness, but he loves like picking up insects, putting them in matchboxes, taking them home, seeing how they live. He's really into animals and just like the wildlife of every single world. He always wants to go to Granite Falls on camping trips. He also loves hiking. However, that's one of the only sports he does enjoy, which is kind of hilarious considering he lives in the Snowy Escape world that literally has like so many sports available to him. He will go rock climbing, but specifically only to like climb the mountain so that he can actually take nature photos. I didn't realize up until I was writing my notes about all of these Sims how many children I had like photography, but I think that's because there's not really a lot of other hobbies that like kids can do within the game. Sims Team give kids justice. I can see him like growing older and becoming like a documentary maker. Here we have the young version of David Attenborough. And then moving on to his sister, who is the loudmouth. She is, as my mother would say, an absolute wind-up merchant. She is basically the total opposite. She's outgoing, she's loud, she's always cracking jokes, she loves a little bit of mischief, she's a goofball, she does literally every sport under the sun. I honestly like kind of based her around sort of myself and Lily Truscott because we actually were the same person when I was a kid. If you couldn't tell from the cap beanie, that was a moment in time that honestly I wish I could forget all of the time. I own so many of these hats and Lily Truscott, you led me astray on that one. Not gonna lie though, another iconic child from Snowy Escape for me is Nanami Ito. And when I was making Nanami, I truly was just imagining like me being a little kid and the kind of little kid that I probably would have been terrified of, but also wanted to be best friends with. Like, you know, when she goes to high school, is gonna be one of the coolest girls there. Like, everyone is gonna want to be friends with her. She is a little bit mean, but not really in like the I'm gonna bully you kind of way. It's just that she comes across like very standoffish. She definitely just like throws her parents' weight around and is like, I can get anything I want because I am the child of these two Sims who are like excellent at skiing. She definitely knows the weight that their name carries. Although she's not super interested in skiing. She's kind of gone the opposite route to her parents and is more on the snowboarding side. I will have to say Johnny Tsunami back on board really played a big role in my perception of Snowy Escape, and I still truly believe that skiers and snowboarders like hate each other. Like, in my mind there is a war going on between those two sports, and I feel like every single townie I'm like, you have to pick your side. Are you gonna be a skier or are you gonna be a snowboarder? Because you're gonna hate each other. I genuinely might make a club in the save file that represents that hatred. You know that her dad is gonna be the leader of the skiing one. He has such Tory energy. Speaking of Tory energy, we have the Kahui family, which, yeah, he is a slime ball. He is a geezer. He is like a wheeler dealer. Now, I've always had this headcanon in mind. I don't know if this is in like somebody else's like family story where they're trying to like protect Sulani against people who are like kind of trying to turn it into a tourist trap and just like move out all the locals so that they can build spas and resorts and hotels and basically run Sulani as just like a resort destination place rather than thinking of the people who actually live there. In my mind though, that is a leaker. Like, he is the person behind this. You know that he's like a self-appointed counselor and he thinks that he speaks for everyone on Sulani when in reality he just wants like people's money. He doesn't really care. He will happily build like golf courses and resorts and just have people and millionaires like stay in them and fund him. Also, yes, I did give him the rock outfit. You are so welcome. But Melee is actually kind of the brains behind it, I want to say. A lot of people just think that she like married Alika because he had like a lot of money and she enjoys like having nice dresses. She definitely like hosts charity benefits like disguised as like, we just want your money. She is the brains behind the operation, and honestly, mummy. But their plans definitely won't happen if little Tane has something to do with it. So Tane is a child who goes to school. That's literally what it says on like the Sims 4 wiki for his little description. He has the whiz kid aspiration. I think he has that from the get-go, which made me like get thinking about Tane and his future. I feel like when it comes to giving Sims like personalities and kind of hobbies that they're into, I always kind of imagine their future selves. Like, I imagine what career paths they get into, and that kind of helps me to come up with more of a personality for the kiddos, because obviously that is a little bit of a struggle in The Sims 4. However, he actually really wants to honor Sulani. I imagine him being an educator. I imagine him having like a community center or an education center when he grows up for children of Sulani to like learn about the island spirits. Really like pass those traditions of Sulani onto the next generation. Teach them about the ecosystem, how to actually care for the islands and like give back to the islands. And then I kind of tied him in my mind to little Elsa Bjergsen from Get Together. You almost have me there, Sims. Because I also imagine her to be a little educator. I think I may have already talked about her older sister, Sophia. I kind of see Sophia as Taylor Swift. Not gonna lie. Little like teenager who wants to be a country artist. She wants to be very, very musical. She plays piano. She plays guitar. She wants to be like the singer-songwriter of her generation. Don't judge me. I haven't finished all of her outfits yet. But Elsa, whilst also into music, likes wellness, fitness, dancing, singing, photography, and violin. She's more on like the classical side. I can see her eventually like pairing up with Tane and them teaming up together. I reckon she definitely goes out to travel the world to kind of like find herself. There is actually, again, another piece of the puzzle that I'm trying to draw into this from my wedding stories and the message in the bottle. She says, I read that a message in a bottle once traveled for 17 months over 14,000 kilometers from where it was cast into the sea. Isn't that neat? So I kind of imagined her being this little bottle and her being like, I want to throw myself to the sea. I want to travel as much as I once heard that little bottle did. And I want to go out and see the world. Like, I want to see everything that it has to offer. And then obviously once she like stops in Sulani, I imagine she like meets Tane and she's like, oh my goodness, like this education center is so sick. She also is a whiz kid. She's a genius. I imagine her being very well actually and like putting her glasses up and telling people how it really is, because she's very book smart. She's very factual. She takes everything like quite literally. One of my most underrated households, the true gay agenda of The Sims 4. Thank you, Cottage Living, for being honestly one of the gayest packs in existence. If you don't agree with that, your gaydar is off. They provided one so many gays, a secret women loving women affair, and then also these two adorable men that I absolutely am obsessed with, Moody and McMillan. I feel like elders are done so dirty in this game, and I am here to put some respect on their names. Respect your elders. You know what? They absolutely had it right. These two are like the two people that I imagine probably, if it weren't for like their circumstance, would have never like met each other, would have never fallen like madly in love. They were kind of inspired by a TikTok couple that I saw, you know, one of those like on the street like questions where it's like, how did you two meet? Like, are you together? It was one of those interviews. I think it was in New York, and not gonna lie, I basically just stole those two lovely people's stories and put it into The Sims because I saw it so vividly and so clearly for these two. So Ian is kind kind of the very, very extroverted, you know, an actor on the stage. He's a very like educated man. I imagine both of these two probably went to like Oxford or Cambridge. He's like a city boy through and through. He absolutely loves hosting like charity benefits and galas. He loves hosting people. He is the hostess with the mostess, always down for learning new skills, absolutely adores acting. Like I imagine now, even though they've kind of retired in kind of a small town, he still travels into the city. He teaches acting. Like he is so into it. Nothing can come between me, Ian, and Derek. Sorry, Derek, that I keep forgetting your name. That's actually accurate. I do feel like that would happen. He hates skiing though, you know. He might be a little bit of a posh boy, but don't get him wrong. Doesn't like skiing. And then we have Derek, who, when they actually ended their careers, Derek always wanted to move back to like the quiet life. He wanted a rural life in Henford-on-Bagley. He grew up with that, and then obviously he moved to London because he is a script writer. That's kind of what I have in mind for him. So he was writing scripts. He was probably working on like costuming as well. He was basically doing anything he could to like fund his love of writing. He's a massive bookworm. Obviously retiring back in Henford-on-Bagley kind of gives him now time to write his books, write what he's always wanted to write. I imagine maybe like a little fantasy novel from him. Book Talk Girlies, tell me what genre you think Derek would write. Maybe he would just be like a romance. You know those ones about the girlies who move to a small quiet town and then their grandma like gives them a bakery? Maybe that's the type of novel that he's writing, but make it gay. He is an LGBTQIA+ activist, thank you very much. They both are. They host very much events for the LGBTQ+ charities. He's definitely the more quiet one. He's way more reserved. He's not as like show-offy as Ian. He will very much like host a party with him because he loves his husband. He is devoted to him. But he's very much like, this is you, darling. Like, you step into the spotlight, do what you need to do. I just want to have a good time with our friends, you know? Whereas it feels a bit more performative from Ian. They do have a little corgi called Toffee. Just exquisite. Beautiful. They're the best. I'm sorry if you don't love this family now. How are you ever gonna love them? You don't know what you have in your Sims game. You have this hidden gem just sitting there in cottage living. If you own that pack, go in and play as them using my headcanon. You'll have the best time. Maybe you could even like age them down and like play out their meeting together. Oh, stop it. I'm just seeing that whole like love story flash before my eyes. I have so many emotions. Another absolutely underrated family, I feel, are the Jang family from Sanmai Shuno. I absolutely love the Jangs. I think they're so cool. And I kind of want to talk about my headcanon for Barco first. He was very much the one where I was like, I have such a clear vision for this man. I don't know what his actual career is in the game. Not gonna lie, I didn't pay any attention to that whatsoever. I was like, in my head, he is a music producer. He's like a singer-songwriter. He has a very, very 70s style. I know I said I wasn't really gonna try and go on about like their looks too much. This was more about like my headcanons, but tell me that he is just not so sick. Like, the fact that he's wearing bright pink, he does this to make Billy laugh. He was like, ooh, I like how this pink looks on me. And she was like giggling at him when he was trying it on in the shop. And then he was like, no, seriously, I do actually like how I feel in this hot pink silky material. So that's kind of how he got his sleepwear. But I just absolutely love Barco. I just imagine him as like a big time like Sanmai Shuno city producer. Like Sanmai Shuno is my Sims New York and he has made it. However, he wants to have successful lineage, so he is a bit of a family man on the side. He's a goofball. He does a lot of stuff to make Billy laugh and actually for his daughter. Like, he's absolutely obsessed with Billy. He loves Anaya as well, but they both have raising Billy to just like believe she can do whatever she wants to do. Currently, she does want to be a politician. She wants to be the very first Sims 4 president, and they are fully supporting her on that journey. So he loves like getting in the kitchen and baking with her, like making a mess, dancing around the kitchen. He also like teaches her all of his musical skills, like piano. He's obviously into songwriting. And then we have his wife Anaya, who is very much into mental health advocacy. She really cares about like wellness of the body and also wellness of the mind, and she's kind of trying to like instill that into Billy as well, to be like, let's talk about our emotions and we're allowed to take up space and we're allowed to be as loud as we want to be. They're just very, very dedicated parents. I've kind of discussed Spencer Kim Lewis a little bit in like past videos where I've talked about my save file, but I feel like I just need to go over them again because let's be real, they are one of the most forgettable families in The Sims 4. Not even because of them. You know what? I do think they do have a bit of personality, especially for a base game household. However, their house is atrocious. And I feel like most people don't play this family because they can't be asked to like remodel their home. He is a doctor in my brain. He's like a surgeon. I think I've compared him to McDreamy before, which I definitely see. He's like very suave, definitely drives like a fast car. If we had cars in The Sims, he would have like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, which is so cool because I feel like very much opposites have attracted between him and Alice. Alice is like a little bit of a hippie. She's very artsy. She's very like throw whatever color at like my outfit or the wall and see whatever sticks. Like I just vibe with what I vibe with, whereas he is very like meticulous. He very much likes to keep care of himself. Obviously his mustache is shaved perfectly and all of his clothes kind of have this like monotone tone to them, but also can let loose a little bit. He actually likes to cook. That's kind of where he like throws all of like his perfectionism out the window, and he's like, I'm just cooking for the hell of cooking. Like I love cooking and I like providing in that way, and that is obviously instilled by his mother, Vivian. Can I just bow down to Vivian for a hot minute? Vivian is one of those Sims, especially in base game, that will always visit my Sims. She will always come over. She is part of the welcome wagon so frequently when I live in Willow Creek. Even if she's not part of the welcome wagon, I feel like she just visits all the time. Doesn't happen as much as it used to, which honestly I'm kind of sad about because I miss seeing her gorgeous, stunning face in my game so frequently, but she's just always so friendly. She's always been so warm to my Sims, and I feel like she's also always wanted to kind of like provide for my Sims in the sense that she is a foodie and she is family oriented. So if you get close to her, she's going to adopt you. She's going to start baking you goods. She's going to start cooking you nice homemade meals. I like to think that she's a little bit of a boss. She has her own catering company. She does it for like weddings, parties. If your kid is having a birthday party and you know Vivian, she's like, you do not need to pay me. Like I have done this business because I love just giving people food and like cooking and kind of providing that home for people. She's just absolutely, I'm in love with this woman so much. Olivia, I hope you know how special your grandma is. She loves like making orange juice stands or ice cream stands, hot cocoa stands with Olivia. She's always encouraging Olivia just to like get out and about and talk to people, which is why I think Olivia is the way that she is. Olivia is, I always say this, but the kiddest of kids within my game. She will talk to anyone. She'll always ask people to like play with her. I think it's so easy to befriend Olivia, and I definitely think that comes from Vivian. Mr. Dylan Sigworth, I feel like he's a Sim that nobody ever talks about. He's just so quiet. He's like a little mouse. Like I made him like a mouse. I also slightly was inspired by Milo from Atlantis. Can you blame me? Try and tell me that I don't look like the female version of Milo from Atlantis. My girlfriend is convinced. If you picture stay-at-home dad, he's like the perfect vision of that. He actually homeschools Chrissy in Strangerville. Her mum is obviously a part of the military there, and so he's kind of trying to protect Chrissy from the world, and also sometimes even her mother, considering Jess can come home possessed every so often. But he just loves like so many hobbies. Like literally try and name a hobby that this man does not enjoy. He like finger paints with her. her. He's just very like hands-on as an educator to his daughter. He's always trying to get her to try new activities. He takes her out on like color walks. They go and find like bugs in the garden. He's very like, come on, let's get up and go. I like to think that like her grandparents or her parents gave it to her when she was a baby, so she's like always kind of got blue ribbon in her hair, and they like color coordinate her outfits. He is just the biggest girl dad, and he loves being a girl dad. He's the dad who knows how to like plait his daughter's hair. That's when you know you're a girl dad. And last but certainly not least, I don't think they need any introduction. I know I have mentioned this like very quickly, kind of in passing. We obviously have Judith Ward. None of my headcanons about Judith Ward have changed. She is very classy. She's like an artiste. She is an actress. She has devoted her life to acting. Actually, I feel probably has a very good relationship with Ian. I imagine Ian like kind of took her under his wing when she was like first getting into acting. However, the important headcanon obviously comes when I then bring the one and only Nancy Landgraab into it. I'm fairly sure canonically it is written that like Nancy has had a nose job. I like to think that Nancy has based herself off, I was about to say Evelyn Hugo, I have to say, it is the green that's giving me that. Whenever I feel I make a thumbnail with my Townie makeover version of Nancy, everyone's like, oh my god, for a hot minute I thought that was Evelyn Hugo, which she does give me Evelyn Hugo vibes, and that's exactly what I wanted, because I like to think that Nancy went to her plastic surgeon and was like, make me look like Judith Ward, but Judith has such like a stark bone structure that I feel like it's quite hard to resemble, and Nancy has kind of just like pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, and I love it for her. I absolutely love the way that my Nancy Landgraab turned out. I think she's stunning. She does remind me of Meredith Blake from The Parent Trap, and also Velma Von Tussle, Michelle Pfeiffer. There's a lot of inspiration I took from like those characters to make Nancy Landgraab, all because she was like thriving to be Judith Ward, and I just think she is perfect. This is just like Nancy Landgraab. Like, I don't see any other Nancy Landgraab other than her. Like, try and tell me I'm wrong. I kind of love fighting for the underdog. I kind of love giving headcanons and like really deep lore and like storytelling moments to the families that I feel don't really get it very often in The Sims 4, especially in like the wider community. Like, sometimes I'll go and look at what other people have done for like Townie makeovers, and there'll only be like 2 or 3 results, and I'm like, I feel deserve more love, and I feel like people just haven't put the time and dedication to get to know these Sims. So I'm always gonna fight for the underdog. I feel like that's what I've done in every single Townie headcanon that I've said today. Some of them I haven't switched up at all from their Sims 4 lore, others I've just like kind of added more and more, and I feel like that's why I connect so personally to all of these Townies. This is like my deepest, darkest secrets. This is like my diary of 4 years right here. It's a lot. But of course, I am gonna continue working on it, because as you can see, I have put my whole plumbussy into it, and I'm not gonna stop anytime soon. I am having a blast. Every single time a new pack comes out that introduces new Townies, I'm like, let me play as them, let me dive into their personality, see what they're like, and how I can represent that actually within my game. I hope this video maybe gave you some inspiration. Maybe you were looking at a couple of the outfits or like hearing a couple of the stories and were like, oh, I've never really thought about that for this sim, but I can very much see why you went for that, and maybe I kind of want to go along the same lines as that. Definitely let me know if any of your headcanons differ from mine though, because I think that could be really, really fun as well. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are making your own like personalized save file, definitely let me know how it's going. Who have been some of your favorites to make over? Who are some of your favorites from mine? Genuinely just absolutely love spilling my guts about all of this. Sorry to those of you who were meant to be going to see Olivia Rodrigo this weekend. I can only apologize for my city, I promise. Usually we're much better at music gigs than this. It's embarrassing, honestly. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap up here before I ramble on any longer. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will speak to you all in my next one. Bye now.